creative living, utilizing today's technology with the best of the past to bring you innovative ideas and up-to-date information for creative lifestyles in today's active world. With your host, Sheryl Borden.
Welcome to Creative Living. Today, we're going to learn how to use a variety of items around the house to create 3 different fall tablescapes, and we'll talk about ways to build a whole food, healthy kitchen. One of my guests today is Latrice Brooks, and she's an interior decorator from Clovis, New Mexico. Latrice is going to show how to use fall accessories and create 3 different tablescapes using what you currently have on hand. This same concept will work regardless of the season or time of the year. Her business is Brooks's Interiors. And we'll begin the show with Maria Bernardis, and she's written a book about healthy eating. Today she's going to share ways to build a whole food, healthy kitchen on a budget. Some of her suggestions include buying locally and at farmers markets, making nutritional substitutions, and buying in bulk. Her book is titled Cooking and Eating: Wisdom for Better Health. Maria lives in New York City. Maria, it's such a pleasure to have you here, and you're a living example of the things that you put into your, well, actually it's a health book as much as a cookbook, because you've lived through illnesses, and you've also lived in areas where you wanted to have good food on a budget. And I think sometimes we use that as an excuse, well, I don't have time or I don't have the money to eat more healthy. But you advocate that that's not the way it really is.
Absolutely, and there's things that we could be doing, even for example as a community, we could be forming co-ops and bulk buying good ingredients, wholesome ingredients, and then, you know, splitting the budget, so to speak, and splitting the cost. So there are ingenious ways that we can, you know, use at home, and we're going to discuss them, many of them now, that we could be doing that. And I think we've got some ingredients here. So when I talk about wholesome ingredients, I guess I'm talking about this side of the table here. When I'm talking about ingredients that we should be eating less of and not quite wholesome, we're sort of talking about
processed foods and heavy cheeses.
Legs of lamb and chicken and fish and all sort of stuff. Our chocolates and our, unless of course it's raw chocolate, then we can have lots of that because that's so healthy. And you know, the different oils, which I guess we'll discuss later.
Okay, and you really advocate trying to buy local, and I think that goes along with the organic, or at least knowing what you're buying and knowing what's been put in it, like farmers markets and then the co-ops you mentioned.
Yeah, absolutely, because you know, when you visit your local markets, not only are you supporting your local community and channeling money back into the local community, but you're speaking to a face that can tell you how it was grown, and you can ask them, like, was there any chemicals used? Pesticides. And that's a good way of getting to the source, whereas if you go to the supermarket, you have no idea. That tomato could have been sitting in a factory like for 6 months, you know, in a box before it got to the supermarket, and therefore the nutrition's less. So we just don't know.
That's true too. And another thing is encouraging people to buy in season. For one thing, it gives you such a good variety of things to eat, but it's also better for us too, the food product.
Well, the nutrition's much higher. So for example, when you're having a tomato in summer, it's with the right flow of energy. That's when it's supposed to grow, and it has ample sun. So the more sun that the tomato has, the more nutrition it has, and all the nutrients to heal your heart and to heal, you know, your immune system. And of course they're very anti-cancerous. Whereas if the tomato is not exposed to sunlight and it's put green in a box and then it has artificial lights, you're not getting the real sun and vitamin D from the sun outside. And not only that, when we eat in season, we're putting less pressure on our environment, because a tomato is not meant to grow in winter, and we're sort of forcing the environment to do something that it's not meant to do.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
And another thing you like to talk about is growing your own food. And people may say, oh, well, I don't live on a farm. But you overcame that, didn't you?
Yes, I had a very small 1-bedroom in Sydney and a small balcony. And I grew all my herbs, and I grew garlic. Is really easy to grow. Ginger's really easy. And, you know, most of the times, you know, we can get a piece of garlic that we've bought from the supermarket and just plant that, and it will grow a whole bowl. So it's so easy. You can take your cuttings from your vegetables and grow new vegetables. And it will cut the costs back. So it's all about living on a budget. So if you can grow some of the food, and we've all got like I've noticed around here, my God, you've got so much beautiful land. So, and I say to people, don't grow lawns, grow food.
That's
and you can
interesting.
feed the whole family, and that's what they do in Greece.
Well, and that goes along with what you said about buying in bulk. And if it's in season, then there's ways to preserve it or freeze it, and we can enjoy it a little bit longer instead of wasting so much food.
Exactly. So one of the things that my ancient ancestors did, and we still do, is, for example, they used to preserve fresh herbs in olive oil. We can take it a step further and get some ice cube trays, put our herbs in there like basil, which we can't get in winter, fill it up with olive oil and put it in the freezer. And then we can just pop the cubes and let them come to room temperature because olive oil solidifies. Or we can just drop it straight into our stock or our soups to add extra flavour.
Good idea.
All our fruits we preserve in sugar and water. So, for example, we create a syrup and then put our fruits in there and jar them. And then we pickle everything since ancient times in vinegar. So we always have, fruit and vegetables out of season to use, in season to use out of season.
Out of season.
Yeah.
And I think it came about when more and more women were working outside the home, because as I grew up, my mother and my grandmother and my older sister, everyone preserved foods. And unfortunately now it's you might say cheaper to buy it off the shelf, but again, you don't really know what all you're getting.
Exactly, and I actually find it more expensive if you sit down and cost. Like, a lot of people buy those chilies in jars, but I'm thinking all you need to go to the local farmer's market, buy a whole heap of chilies, and you've got enough chilies there that you can put in vinegar or olive oil and put them in the fridge for a whole year. You don't even have to worry about buying chilies for a whole year. And they're always available all year round in your fridge.
When I was reading in the book, and there was a word called pulses, P-U-L-S-E-S, and I have to admit, I thought, now I need to ask Maria what that is. What are we supposed to be eating? So I looked it up, but you might explain that.
Yeah, so it's basically our legworms, I think. Is that how you call it?
Legumes?
Call it here? Yes, sorry, yeah. So we're talking about like our lentils, our chickpeas, our beans, all of those beautiful beans and stuff that come from the land. And that's what we predominantly eat in Greece for good health. So we substitute our meat, instead of having meat or fish or
Which
chicken.
is more expensive.
Exactly. So this is a cost-cutting method for us. And if we wanted to add meat, we might add a little bit of sausage, but we don't have the expense of a whole leg of lamb or a whole chicken. So this is how we keep our costs down, because we only have meat probably once a week in my family. We had meat, chicken or fish. The rest of the time it was either chickpeas, and we'd make fritters or we'd make stews or we'd make soup. So there's ingenious ways that you can use them and cook recipes. Yeah.
That must be why you advocate don't worry about what ingredients a recipe calls for, or even use a recipe, just cook what you have on hand.
Yeah, soups are great. You can stick whatever you want. Not only that, in one of the ancient Greek rituals is pie making. Pie making originates from ancient Greece. That's where the first pastry in phyllo was made. And we also recycle our leftovers so that there's no waste. So what I say to people is, if you've got any leftover lamb, chicken, even vegetables, whatever you've got, add a little bit of cheese, some eggs, herbs, perhaps some herbs and spice, roll it up in phyllo and you've got yourself a pie. So we never have anything thrown out. And one of the biggest expenses here in this world is wastage. So I'm advocating, let's not waste, let's recycle. Recycle it into a pie, as the Greeks do, or recycle it into a soup or a salad. And there's your next meal.
That's really good advice. And another thing you mention in the book is don't buy or try anything if it has ingredients you've never heard of.
And you can't read and you don't understand. Yeah, basically because your body and your DNA won't recognise it. And this is one of the major causes, I believe, because I went through it with the weight issues. And one of the main issues that I found with my weight loss was that I was putting some ingredients that my body didn't recognise, and what my body did was turn it into fat. To help protect me.
I see.
So a lot of these genetically modified and chemicals that they're using is contributing to our weight issue.
Obese.
Absolutely.
Obesity
yes,
in America.
Yes.
And you talk about we should eat in more than we eat out.
Absolutely, because unfortunately a lot of the restaurants are not using good oils. So over here we've got extra virgin olive oil. That's what we use in Greek cuisine. Other good oils are coconut oils or walnut, avocado, you know, your nut oils.
Nut oils.
Every other oil, including
Just
vegetable
vegetable.
oil, which is we have here, so that includes vegetable, soy, cottonseed, all of those, unfortunately, our body doesn't recognize them and it adds no nutritional value. In addition, it inflames our body. So it goes into shock mode. So I'm an advocate of you know, really not using those oils at all. And by eating out, unfortunately, probably over 90% of the restaurants use those oils in their deep fry.
Because it's cheaper.
It's cheaper, exactly. So what I say to people, if you must eat out, ask them what oil they use. So you may not want to have the deep fried option if they use those oils. Or for a salad, you might opt to have your salad dressing on the side. What I do sometimes, and I'm certainly not encouraging it, I actually take my own olive oil with me and sea salt, and I'm sprinkling on the salad. I mean, they do think it's a bit, I'm not advocating that you do it, but I do. See, when you eat in, you know what you're putting in your food, you know what you're eating.
It's pretty simple.
And it's cheaper, because eating out's expensive.
Well, it is. Now, in your cooking school, how hard is it to get people to make a change and to start eating more healthy?
Well, you know what, I find it very easy because they look at me as the example, you know, and I'm in my mid-40s, going on 50 very soon, and they say to me, what do you do to look really good? And I say, all I do is practice what I preach in my book. And this is why I'm so, you know, now so healthy. And what I say to them, not everything that I say may resonate with you, but if you can take one thing on board and do that. So for example, I say if you can just change one ingredient and make it organic, such as chicken, you've made a big difference, not only to yourself, but to the environment, because you've limited so many chemicals. So I say to people, take small steps. Take the first step, and then in a month's time, you might take a second step. And, you know, maybe, you know, incorporate some beautiful kale, which is also a good source of protein, by the way. I don't know if you know this, but a cup of kale is the equivalent of one steak in protein. So you're getting the same protein and iron and calcium and so on. So, yeah, I get positive feedback all the time.
Well, that's good. Well, thank you for what you're doing to help all of us, and the stories are just as interesting in this book as the recipes sound. I'm interested in trying some of those, but more interested in reading the actual stories. Thank you so much, Maria.
Thank you.
Latrice, thank you so much for coming today and for bringing all of these beautiful things that you're going to show us how to decorate with. What's your favorite holiday? What do you like to decorate the most for?
I love fall.
Fall.
And I think because it's one of the longer seasons. Because you can start like when school starts back in
September
session.
Or sometime.
Yeah. And you can leave it through Thanksgiving. So that's why I love
That's
one of my favorite times.
Because it is a lot of work to put all new things out or to take them off. But you're going to show us how we can actually incorporate some of our everyday type things and just make it look different.
Okay, yes. And thank you so much for having me.
You're
it's
welcome.
It's a pleasure. Okay, we're just going to start with this little basic burlap tablecloth. It's not really a cloth, it's just a piece of fabric that's been scrunched up. And I want to start with this arrangement right here, just a simple basic green arrangement that I use for lots of different occasions. But I just wanted to show you how you could take something so simple and just transform it.
Oh, now we're adding those rusts and reds and oranges that it was lacking.
And although it's not grand, you know, it gives a little touch. It saves you from having to go buy a brand new arrangement for a holiday.
Well, and then you have to store the other arrangement when you take, so this way we'd just simply have to store the extra flowers.
Right. And then you just add one
nice, big
pop of color. And when you add it with an orange or whatever, you can see how the peaches kind of just transform into a fall-like setting.
That certainly doesn't look like the same arrangement we started with, does it?
No. So, I mean, just a little thing that can help you transform.
And we always like bargains, so sometimes we would be able to find a lot of these arrangements or the individual flowers at a real bargain.
Right, right. And I never throw anything away. So if
I
I'm
bet you don't.
redoing something, I'm taking it and reusing it for another purpose. Another thing, instead of just going and setting a pumpkin on your table,
That looks like how I decorate.
okay, even though we've got dimension here. So instead of just laying our fabric straight out, I like to give it some dimension, so I
Different
flip it.
heights and
Yeah. So rather than just sitting the pumpkin here, I'm going to elevate it.
Put it on a little pedestal, or I guess a cake plate, or
A cake plate
anything
is
would work.
wonderful. Yes. So now again, you've already got dimension. Now I'm going to add, I like to add texture and color, so I'm going to add a little bit of tarnished silver.
Oh, and you want it tarnished?
I want it tarnished.
I like hearing that.
Yes, and I've got a touch of raffia right here to bring in with the burlap, but then I've got this little bead that brings in a glitz or a bling.
The gold.
So again, I've pulled burgundy in with the burgundy of this pumpkin. It's not just orange, but now you can see how the three colors start to blend. All right, then I'm going to add a little bit of bling over here. Just a glitz in your pumpkin.
And the light on that just really
Is
makes
beautiful,
it beautiful,
isn't
doesn't
it? Now we're going to start layering. And I'm just tucking in. And again, I'm using a little texture, little pine cone, sunflower, bringing in all sorts of colors. Here's another piece that we can nestle
Now that's an
in
interesting,
here.
looks like a beehive, doesn't it?
Yes, but it's an
But it's in an-
acorn.
oh, it's an acorn.
It's an
and
acorn,
It's in,
and it's actually an ornament for a tree, but I'm
Oh,
just,
is it?
I'm putting it right there. Now, you don't have to have this, of course. You can just keep adding. If I were doing this on a round coffee table, of course, I'm going to fill it all the way around.
or your dining table, or
Yes.
something that's you'd see from every side.
Right. Now,
Oh,
I want
love
you
that.
to just see how when you add a little bit more bling, how that pulls all that together.
So a lot of this could then be kept out for Christmas. I mean, I
Absolutely.
can see that red and gold. That would be
Yes.
great to add something for Christmas there.
And again, I use this constantly for many occasions. I use this elevated piece for many occasions. And then, one more thing I like to do that is just kind of subtle. A lot of people are allergic to different scents and things, but these are lightly scented. Just smell.
Oh, they do smell good. I can smell cinnamon or nutmeg
it's
or
spice.
something. Spice.
And I'm just going to add those around this candle. And that's going to give you just a tiny bit of scent as you sit down, you know,
And you
close
don't even
to the
have
table.
to light the candle then. In some
not at
places
all.
you can't have lighted candles. So
Right.
that's a wonderful way to have the effect of it, the look of it, and still get the fragrance.
Right. Okay, then another thing we can do, these candles are the hottest things on the market. And again, I probably should have got the larger one. I don't see it.
So it comes in multiple sizes.
Yes, there's 3 sizes to these candles. These are Luminaria is the brand name. They're remote control. And it's called a flameless candle.
And that flame looks real.
It looks real.
And and it has a wax covering on the outside. So
Yes, and this is what's different about this company over many others that have tried to replicate this. It's completely wax encoded. It comes with a remote, and also you can set it on a timer for 9 hours. So it lasts
wonderful.
forever. The battery, has 2C batteries, but they'll last for 200 and something hours. So
That is
it's a wonderful addition. You can leave it on just for ambience, sitting there in the evening at your entry or wherever. You know, you don't have to
And
worry.
this too would carry through Christmas, New Year's,
Every season.
Valentine's. That's wonderful.
Right. So that's a new little addition. I'm going to scoot that. Now to bring it a little bit more fall, like I'm looking for, oh, here it is, this pumpkin right here. More into Thanksgiving.
Oh, how beautiful.
We can just add in
And that gives a little different height,
little
too.
different height. Now this is a little too short here, so I'm just going to elevate there. Now the good thing about using a wad of burlap, as I call it, is you can fluff it to different things. I would cover this up,
that. Oh,
you know, and so this is elevated just a little bit more. And then because I added a touch of cream to this group, we can add this.
The turkey.
I love a touch of the antlers because those are so popular. And we're going to nestle in a little quail.
This would be nice to start, like you say, in early September and go all the way through. And you could even start adding like the pilgrims and things as it got closer to Thanksgiving.
And this would be so easy to incorporate a little bit of Halloween in too.
Oh, sure.
You know, so we do back to school and it's just real fall-like. But I didn't have one or I would have brought it. But you could add a little pumpkin or a witch or something that's sitting on this little piece right here and let the legs just fall over in here.
That's cute.
And then you've got Halloween. And then you saw how easy it was to change for, you know, every season up to Christmas. So
Okay, that's a great idea. And you have other flowers and different leaves and things, but we sort of saved the best surprise for last.
for last. Okay, so I need to take a little bit away.
Take this.
Yeah, let's take that away.
And the quail.
Let's take that away. Okay, this can be even in an arrangement or it could just float.
Now, how are those lighted?
They
it's
come,
electric.
It's electric. So some of them come on batteries.
It's hard to work when you can't really see
Yeah,
what you're
when
doing.
I can't
know.
see what I'm doing.
And these come in a clump like
Yes,
this.
they come on a stem, but there are others that are longer. That they'll, you know, do up to, I think it's 36 inches tall. Now, I can't really see what that looks like, and we
But I
may
think we're
need just a
getting
little.
the gist of it. But that is so, it's so fragile looking.
Yes.
Very,
now, these
very
are called
dainty.
silver dollars. But I also have some that are, they're a leaf, but they've got tiny lights within the leaves. Again, you can manipulate those because they're all on wire. And you can spread them out. You can make them, the long ones come wired together, but they're long enough that I've got 3 branches that you could have one extended on each end and one in the center.
Oh.
So, you know, this is not ideal for the dining room table just because you have this cord. But there are some that are battery operated. The only sad thing is they don't last very long.
Very long.
Yeah,
This would be
so-
nice on an end table or a buffet table.
Absolutely.
And,
for a buffet
so
table,
you could plug it in.
great for a mantle. They also have lighted garland that's like that. And I don't have it in yet. It's on order, but it's a marvelous thing to have. And again, every season.
Well, it's just amazing how you transform an arrangement, and you do make it look a lot easier than it sort of is. But I think you've given us all ideas of don't have to go out and buy everything new. Look at what we have first, and then add to it if we need to.
Right. And just, even if it's just, you can go to the craft store and just get one stem of something, cut it apart, and make it grow.
Extend it.
Yes. So you don't have to spend a lot of money to have beautiful.
Well, you certainly make it beautiful.
Thanks
very much, Latrice.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed the show today. Next time on Creative Living, we'll learn how to prepare for an upcoming travel destination and demonstrate how to make a funky foam fowl. One of my guests on the next show is going to tell us how preparation can make life much easier, especially when you travel. She calls it ready, set, pack, and go, and she'll discuss why it's important to call your credit and debit card companies to advise them of your upcoming travel plans. As far as packing, she suggests that you begin packing at least a week or 2 ahead, and she'll explain why. Another guest will show how to combine Styrofoam brand foam shapes with fleece, plus some other fabrics and felt scraps to create cute, colorful birds. She suggests that these funky fowl creations would be ideal for decorating children's rooms, playrooms, or to add a whimsical accent to other rooms. Both of these topics will be featured on the next Creative Living show. If you ever have comments or suggestions or ideas for shows, you can email me at cheryl.borden@enmu.edu. I'd also like to ask you to become a fan of Creative Living on Facebook. Just go to facebook.com and in the search window, type in Creative Living with Sheryl Borden. Thanks so much. I hope you'll plan to join me next time for Creative Living.
We are very pleased to offer you a new booklet that accompanies this series of Creative Living. This booklet is titled the 6900 Series, and it features a wonderful collection of ideas and information, and it's available free of charge on our website. Posted as a PDF file, you can simply download the entire booklet or just the segments you're most interested in. For your copy of this new booklet, go to our website at KENW.org and then click on Creative Living. Scroll down to the booklet section and you can click on this booklet or on any of the other booklets that we have available online. We also would like to invite you to sign up for our free e-newsletter. Just go to KENW.org and click on the Sign Up Now button. Thank you.